All right. Here's a heads up on what I've been building and the three things that I'd tell absolutely anyone before they start their first raised bed. Because if you get these right, you'll save yourself a world of frustration later. But first, let me say who I am. I'm Connor. I'm the guy behind Steve's Garden. I'm not the face of the channel. I'm not Steve. I'm not the one you're used to seeing. I'm the one in the background. I'm the editor. I'm the organizer. I'm the guy who takes hours of raw footage and cuts it all down and lines it up so what reaches you actually makes sense and looks decent. It's quiet work. Most of it nobody ever sees, but it's the bulk of what goes into these videos. So here's a heads up on what I've been building. It's been a really busy stretch back here. We've filmed a big pile of stuff lately, and it's a lot more than usual. And now it's all sitting waiting for me to work through it. So my evenings have turned into the same routine. Headphones on, sat at the desk, edit after edit. Some of these take me a couple full days to get right because I would much rather take my time than push something sloppy out there. The point is there's a real stack of good stuff coming your way. So if it ever feels quiet between uploads, that's not the channel slowing down. That's just me back here making sure each one is worth your time. And honestly, thank you for sticking with it. I read the comments. Even though I'm the guy in the background, I read them and it keeps me at the desk on late nights. Really appreciate it. All right, raised beds. If you're about to build your first one, here are three things that I'd sit you down and tell you before you get started. First of all, and this is the big one, get the soil right from the very start. Here's the thing. The whole reason a raised bed works so well is that you got to fill it with, is because you get to fill it with whatever you want. You're not stuck with whatever rubbish soil is in your yard. So don't waste that opportunity. Don't just shovel in poor, lifeless dirt. Fill it with good, rich mix, decent quality topsoil with a blend of compost mixed through it. The more organic matter, the better. The soil is genuinely the whole game in a raised bed. Plants live or die in it. So if you're going to put your effort and your money anywhere, put it right here into filling the bed with the best soil that you possibly can. Get that right, and honestly, half your work is already done. A mix a lot of people swear by is something like a half good topsoil and half compost, maybe with a bit of extra organic matter worked through it. And you really can't have too much compost in there. And don't be tempted to just dig up the dirt from your yard and to fill it, because if your native soil was great, you wouldn't be building a raised bed in the first place. That's the whole point. Is you want to start fresh with something far better than what you've got. Second, don't build it too wide. This catches people, off guard all the time. They build this big wide bed and then they can't reach the middle of it. So they end up stepping into the bed to weed or to harvest. And the moment you step on the soil, you've compacted it. You packed it down hard under your weight, which is the exact opposite of what you want. So the rule is to make your bed narrow enough that you can comfortably reach the middle from either side without ever stepping on it. For most people, that's around 4 feet wide, no more than that. The length doesn't matter, as you can make it as long as you want, but keep that width down so that you can just always reach in. And leave yourself decent paths around it so you can get all the way around it without, trampling anything. While we're on the size, give a thought to the materials and the height too. So untreated timber, uh, sleepers, brick, or the metal kits, they all work fine. Just steer clear of anything that's been treated with chemicals that you wouldn't want leaching into your food. And building it up to a decent height, say a foot or more, that saves your back when you're weeding and harvesting, which you'll really appreciate after a long session out there. Third, you want to think about the sun. You want to think about drainage and giving these things room. Put your bed where it's going to get plenty of sun, because most veggies want a good 6 hours or more of it a day. So don't tuck it away in the shade. Raised beds will drain really well, which is great, no waterlogging. But the flip side is that they do dry out faster than on the open ground. So you need to keep an eye and water them in hot weather. And a layer of mulch on top helps a lot with that. When it comes to planting it up, resist the urge to cram in as much as you possibly can. I know it's tempting when the bed is fresh and empty, but overcrowded plants compete with each other for light and food. They get less air flowing between them, so disease spreads easier and you end up with a worse harvest than if you've given everything proper room. So follow the spacing on the seed packet. You give them space to grow and they'll reward you for it. All right, a quick couple bonus tips here. So lay some cardboard down on the bottom of the bed before you fill it. It smothers the weeds and the grass beneath it, and then all of that just rots away. Aim for a decent depth. About a foot of soil suits most veg nicely and give the roots room to head down. If you got trouble with burrowing pests like moles or voles, you can staple a layer of wire mesh, hard wire cloth, or across the bottom before you fill it, and that keeps them from coming up underneath. And one thing that nobody really warns you about is that lovely fresh soil settles and breaks down over the first year or two, so the level slowly drops, and you want to top it back up with more compost each spring to keep it full and rich. And here's actually a lovely little advantage of raised beds. The soil in them warms up earlier in the spring than the cold open ground does, so you can often get planting a bit sooner and stretch your growing season out a little bit at both ends. All right, so those are the 3 tips. Fill it with great soil. That matters more than anything else. Keep it narrow enough to reach so you can reach the middle and not have to step on it. And then give it sun. Watch the watering. Don't overcrowd it. Nail those, and your first raised bed will do you proud. That's the heads up, and those are the tips for today. So thank you for sticking with the channel. It genuinely means a lot to me back here. There's loads more coming, so I'm working on it. So go get that raised bed built right, and I'll catch you in the next video.